Welcome back to the Toppy Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, and this is another one of our end of season player reviews. Today, it is none other than Tom Davies, not the comedian, obviously the English midfielder who burst onto the scene and then has yet to push on since then. Um, First of all, before we go into Tom Davies' season, there are rumours this could be his last season in the club and could be off in the summer. So I'll just give my overall thoughts on him at the start of this season and stuff. Then I'll go into his stats. Then I'll give his rating at the end. For me, I like him as a human being. He seems like a really lovely lad. Got a great attitude and aura about him. Loves the club as well for what it's worth. I really wanted him to do well, really wanted him to push on ever since that Man City goal and that Man City game. I've wanted him to push on. It's been hit or miss, hasn't it? Some managers have favoured him. He's made 179 appearances career-wise. Some managers have picked him. Marco Silva was a bit of a fan of him. And then between then and there's been that many Everton managers, but he has had a couple of, 30 games in 2019-20, 33 in 17-18. Ancelotti, that's the manager I was thinking. Ancelotti clearly liked him. Marco Silva clearly liked him. So then you were like, all right, well, not so much Marco Silva, although he's doing well now, but like if Carlo Ancelotti rates him, he's got to be good, and he. But then he sort of has dwindled a little bit. And when Frank Lampard came in, it's well known that I wasn't a fan of Frank Lampard from the start. Didn't think he deserved the job. Didn't have the criteria for the job, etc., etc. But that being regarded, I remember coming on the channel and saying numerous times that the one positive of Frank Lampard would be that I think he might be able to get Tom Davies to kick on in a big way, because whatever we might think of Frank Lampard, the manager, as a player, he was one of the best English centre mids ever, a real box to boxer. And I thought if he could give a quarter of his ability, if he could coach a quarter of that into Tom Davies, that would be fantastic. Alas, that didn't happen. Then we had obviously Sean Dyche come in, and Sean Dyche, I knew wasn't really going to play him for one. When you look at Sean Dyche's Burnley, he had Brownhill, and then he'd accompany him alongside like a Defoe, Joey Barton, a more combative midfielder. We have Brownhill, who's a good passer of the ball. There's that compilation, isn't there? The Brownhill diagonal ball, and it's fantastic. And I was like, well, Tom Davies doesn't have that playmaker ability in him. He's also too small to be the combative midfielder that Onana is. I think what Everton miss is that deep line playmaker, because I wouldn't say Gue's that and I wouldn't say Decore's that, but we do have two of the similar type of midfielder to of a combative, one in Onana, the other in Decore. And obviously Sean Dyche playing to what he's got at his disposal. I think the 4-2-3-1 with Decore as the most advanced centre mid is the right call. Especially while we haven't got two strikers available either. We haven't got one at the minute, really. So I knew he wasn't going to play him then, but now there's rumours he might be going off to, I think, maybe Norwich, and there were rumours last year of the Rangers. It's just unfortunate. He's a really likeable lad. He's only 24. He's got miles of a career left. I think, unfortunately for him, Decore signed a new contract. We've got Onana. I think we've just got better midfielders at the club that are pushing him out, and he's not getting a game, which is unfortunate. I think he could go somewhere and have a good career somewhere else, but I think in Everton there's just too many in front of him, which is a shame because, like I said, really lovely fella. Like, if you could say name an Everton player you really wish would do well, it's Tom Davies for me. But alas, let's get into his career stats now. His seasonal stats, now that I've gone through sort of my overall thoughts on him and my hopes for this season. Obviously, they didn't come to fruition. He started 4, he's been subbed on for 15. He played 528 minutes. He's got an XG of 1.2. He's had 2 shots on target, 5 off. He's created 2 chances. He's made 6 dribbles, 3 of them were successful, attempted 15 tackles, 9 of them successful, 7 clearances, 4 interceptions. So you can see that he has the makings of a combative midfielder and maybe even a deep line playmaker. I just don't know if his passing range is up to it. He's too small to be the combative one. Onana's a lot more of a physical presence when he's battling. But the thing with Tom Davies is he's got the capabilities to be the other one, apart from the passing range. That's not to say he completely can't do it, but it for me, I think that's where he lacks slightly. And that's ultimately why we don't see him in the starting lineup. It's a bit tough. He's a fantastic dribbler of the ball, it has to be said. When he goes on those runs, he's a really nice dribbler of the ball. I've always thought he's got a nice dribble on him. I just, yeah, I think the other problem is trying to figure out what type of midfielder he is. He has a lot of accurate passes. He's got 9.1 accurate passes per game, which is about 75%. Most of them in his own half, unfortunately, which might be down to if Everton are being pressed, he's going to turn backwards, which I think is a fair criticism. He has been known to do that, but I'd rather him play it safe than ping it straight into the opposition. Like I said, his defending side is okay, other than the fact that I think he's not physically as powerful as the others. His dribbling is good for a midfielder. He does lose possession 4.5 times a game, though. A lot of this could be down to confidence, I'm willing to admit, as he's obviously not been able to kick on in the way he'd hope. That must affect his his confidence. So yeah, it's been an up and down season for him. Obviously, there are his strengths, which is ball interception. I've read it out there how many interceptions he makes. He's really good at reading the game and intercepting. According to this is off Who Scored as well. Ball interception, I think, was clear when I was reading out the stats. And then this now, according to Who Scored's weakness, is passing, which I've just said to you. In my opinion, he's not got a good enough passing range for the deep line playmaker. It's nice to see Who Scored agree. Tackling, I don't know if that means actually tackling or if that's, again, builds into the weakness side I'm saying. I don't think he's strong enough to knock people off the ball. And Who Scored say concentration as well, which I haven't picked up on as much, but the other two I have done. I think they're fair criticisms of him, and they make it really tough. He's not a tackler, he's not a passer, he's a good interceptor. But yeah, that just makes it a little bit tougher to really judge him on what type of midfielder he is. So I can see why people struggle. In terms of his rating for this season, sparse appearances, 500 odd minutes isn't a lot in terms of a season. I'm going to give Tom Davies a 5. I think he's just been, when he's come on, been run of the mill, hasn't shone loads. I think was it the United game? This was the United game this season where he had the chance to finish it and didn't. Might be getting that confused with a couple of seasons ago. This season's hard. It's hard doing these because we had a break in between the winter, which makes it all feel like some of the games feel like they were last season. But if that's one, I'm pretty sure he's had chances this season to end the game and hasn't. That could be another criticism of him, which I think is fair. He needs to sort of, learn to finish his chances as well. But again, I think that might be a confidence thing. But yeah, alas, Tom Davies, I'm going to give him a 5 for the season. Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. All that good stuff. I'll see you soon.